Power creep in a video game is the idea that as new characters are released, they will become more powerful than the characters that existed before. With the idea being that you want the new character to be exciting and fun, right? But the problem is, this causes the power level, represented by our little Sableye here, to creep and creep and creep higher and higher and higher and higher until it's so high that the old characters can't touch the power level anymore. They're too weak now. And it can get a bit ridiculous as the latest new character just destroys everything, right? We have that problem right now, actually, with Giratina Darkrai being the dominant deck taking advantage of the new Giratina card. It's like, I don't know, 50% of all decks being played right now. It's crazy. But I did the math, and I calculated the exact number by which Pokemon Pocket has been power creeping their cards. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the beginning, the very first pack that Pokemon Pocket ever introduced, and take a look at how the power creep happened over time, what it means for the future of the game, and if Pokemon Pocket noticed their mistake in time and plan to fix it with the next upcoming pack. Let's take a look. It all started back in the days of Pikachu EX. Pikachu was the best card, the best deck. Pikachu EX only needed 2 energy to deal 90 damage. And we're talking about a point in Pokemon Pocket's history where having more than 90 health was a lot. Most basic Pokemon did not have that much. Only really EX Pokemon were tankier, and there weren't that many yet that you could play as a basic card. Sure, we had Mewtwo EX, but Mewtwo needed 4 energy to get going, and would usually lose a one-on-one to Pikachu. So for this reason, Pikachu was the dominant deck. I mean, yeah, late gamers like Mewtwo, Charizard, they could take it. But Pikachu was the stuff. Everyone loved Pikachu. Pikachu was the best. But when we need to take Pikachu, this is Sableye, but I like Ghosts better, so we're using Sableye, and squish it down into its statistics and put those on the screen. 2 energy, 90 damage, basic EX Pokemon. This is what I call a fast-attacking EX basic Pokemon. You meet all these requirements, you dominate the meta. What was introduced after Pikachu? Well, after Genetic Apex, there actually was not a new fast-attacking basic EX Pokemon introduced. We didn't get one. The next pack introduced was Mythical Island, starring Mew. But Mew just copied other Pokemon. It was good, but on its own it wasn't game-breaking. It needed your opponent to have a different Pokemon than Mew to be any good. We also got Aerodactyl, but it did less damage than Pikachu. We got Gyarados, but it required 4 energy, and it had to evolve from Magikarp. It wasn't fast-attacking. We had so many new decks that were introduced in Mythical Island, but because they did not introduce a new, fast-attacking, EX, basic Pokemon, it didn't break the game. And the meta was a little bit healthy. But problems were introduced in the very next pack. Because all of a sudden, we got Darkrai. And Darkrai broke the game in amazing new ways. Being able to do 20 damage from the bench as a basic Pokemon, just by slapping an energy on that thing, really created some terrifying situations. Darkrai itself could do 80 damage. Attaching the energy would allow it to do 20 more, so we're talking 100 damage. But Darkrai wasn't fast attacking. It shouldn't have broken the game, right? It shouldn't have broken the game, right? It shouldn't have, but it did, and here's why. Darkrai was combined with other cards. The very first popular Darkrai deck was Darkrai plus Weevil EX. With Darkrai and Weevil working together for just 2 energy, you could do 90 damage a turn plus more. The way it worked is you would put Weevil EX, a 1 energy attacking Pokemon, in your active slot. Put energy on Darkrai, 20 damage. Weevil attacks the weakened Pokemon, 70 more damage, we're at 90. But now, Weevil EX is wearing the new Rocky Helmet. If you attack that Rocky Helmet to try to get rid of the Weevil, you take 20 more damage. We're now doing 110 damage every turn. Admittedly, you would only be doing 90 damage if your opponent, wasn't attacking the Rocky Helmet, but then they're probably dying. And while you're setting all this up, you're putting energy on Darkrai in the back line. So you'll have another Pokemon that can come in and start doing 100 damage every turn. It was really powerful, but actually it was made even more powerful by the introduction of Magnezone, a Pokemon that generated its own energy. It wasn't a fast-attacking basic EX Pokemon, but it could generate energy for free, and as a result, it could sit behind your fast attacker, then come in and deal 110 damage on its own. So the average damage we were talking about now is 110. You had to survive 110 damage instead of 90 to be able to tank a hit. This is the reason that everyone started playing Exeggutor EX, because Exeggutor had enough health to survive 110 damage. And with healing items like Erica and Potion, it could actually survive it twice. So being able to survive 2 hits from the new meta made Exeggutor EX amazing all of a sudden. But then, Triumphant Light was released, and we got Arceus. Arceus was a Pokemon that did 130 damage. It was a new, fast-attacking basic EX Pokemon. Yeah, it took 1 more energy than Pikachu, but it didn't really matter. Arceus could be powered up by a Dialga, so you couldn't actually KO it in time, and that energy generation made it able to attack a little bit faster, get its energy a little bit faster. So now we're talking about 130 damage. The average meta deck is dealing 130 damage. We went from 90 damage to 110, and admittedly it was a little iffy in the Darkrai era, to 130 consistently with Arceus. Then Shining Revelry was introduced and everything went out the window. With Shining Revelry, you had Giratina, who was a basic version of Magneton. It generates its own energy and doesn't discard it. And it does 130 damage. But Trainer Card Red was introduced. Rocky Helmet could be easily played with Giratina, and you had Darkrai in the back. You were guaranteed to be boosting Giratina's damage by some form of plus 20, sometimes multiple. So now we're dealing 150 damage, in some cases 170, but on average, Giratina's doing 150 damage. So we're increasing by about 20 points of damage with every new pack that's released, and the attacks are getting faster and faster and faster. So what about all the Banaries in the world? What about Roserade? You know, how do they compete in this meta? They can't! And that's because of the power creep. Luckily, I think Pokemon Pocket is aware of this, because if they keep power creeping the game, no cards are going to be viable anymore, right? We're almost 20 more damage than this, and even the super tanks like Gyarados, Charizard, and Blastoise won't be able to survive anymore. There won't be any more cards that can survive the meta. But here's what they're doing to fix it. In the new set, Celestial Guardians, and we only just got the trailer for that, by the way, it looks like the new item Rare Candy is finally Pokemon Pocket's attempt to fix the power creep problem. They're trying to make it easier to use evolved Pokemon to take the meta away from these overbearing, fast-attacking basic EX Pokemon that sometimes generate energy. And are focusing more on trying to give us more variety and make more Pokemon viable. It looks like a lot of the new supporter cards, too, will act on Pokemon that I don't think will be particularly EX, like Tsarina. Hopefully not at any rate. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let me know, future people, down in the comments. Did Pokemon Pocket continue to power creep by 20 damage every successive set? Do you think I'm wrong and the power creep is actually a different number or a different metric? Or did they fix the problem? Did they introduce new ways to play the game that could contend with these beefy EX Pokemon, and Giratinas are a thing of the past? Let me know and I'll catch you later.
Sableye says you should subscribe and like the video.